Okay, good morning class. Welcome back to another session. We are dealing up with this chapter called as, what is that chapter? Called as mechanical properties of fluids. We are dealing with what? We are dealing with mechanical properties of fluids. In other simple thing, this can be called as the concept related to fluid pressure. First and foremost thing what a student should know is that every fluid will exert pressure upon the things placed in that. First basic point. Let us first talk about the basic important points to understand this chapter. Right? Every fluid will exert pressure upon the thing what is placed in that. What does it mean? You can understand this practically. If you go into water, you will get some pressure acting on us. You can feel this, right? Now, if you get some kind of fast wind blowing air, even then also we are going to get pressure. Means at this moment also we are being acted upon by some pressure given by the air, and all these things are studied in the concept of what? On the concept of what? Fluid pressure. Every fluid, first point is for sure every fluid will exert some kind of a pressure upon an object which is placed inside that. Simple point. What is that? If any object is placed inside a fluid, that fluid is going to exert some pressure on that. What is pressure definition? Pressure means upon that object, pressure is defined as force per area. Means that fluid is going to exert some kind of force upon the object. How much of force is acting per unit area of that body? The ratio of these things is called as pressure. Is the first point clear? First point clear? Every fluid will exert some force upon an object placed inside that. Is that point clear? I just want to go point by point. Every fluid will exert some kind of force upon an object which is when placed inside this. This is called as fluid pressure. Simple thing, fluid pressure. What is fluid? All of you able to hear me? No responses. Able to hear me? Yes, sir. Yes, Mahesh, this is yes, sir. Okay. So is the first point clear? What is fluid pressure? What is fluid pressure? Fluid pressure clear. Okay. Fluid pressure is the pressure exerted by the fluid. Right. Second point. Second point, not this point. Under this concept of fluid pressure only. Second point. Fluids what we deal in two different forms. The fluids what we deal with them in two different forms. Here it is. Fluids will suppose initially them at rest, and fluids which are in motion. These two kinds of fluids is that we are going to deal with. Fluids we deal with two different cases. Fluids at rest and fluids in motion. Any examples can you talk of fluids at rest? You can think of these things. Blowing of air is a fluid in motion. Taking water in a jar is fluid at rest. Because in that jar water will not move, it would be in that container. Is the point clear? Fluids what we deal with in two different forms. The study of fluids what we do here will be done in two different forms. One is called as static fluids. If it is at rest, what it is called as? And another is called as fluid dynamics. Fluid statics, fluid dynamics. What is fluid statics? Yeah, flowing of water in a river. Example, somebody said this. Who is that? Madhu, right? Or what the basic point is? First point is that fluids will exert pressure. Second point is that fluids what we deal in two different forms. What are those two different forms? One by considering fluid at rest, other by considering fluid in motion. Where are we going to come across these two cases? As Mahesh Hegde gave in that example, water in a bottle is at fluid at rest concept. Water moving in a river is considered to be at what? Because water will not remain at same position. It keeps on moving from one place to other place. It starts somewhere, it ends somewhere, it keeps on moving. Or we are going to divide this fluid pressure into two different aspects. Under first part we talk about fluids at rest. Under second part we talk about what? Fluids in motion. Now we are still dealing with fluids at rest only. So what is the topic we are dealing now? We are now dealing with the concept of what? Fluid at rest. Is the point clear? Second point, we are talking about static fluids. Is the second point clear? Fluids will exert pressure, right? And pressure is defined as force per area upon in any fluid. If an object of mass m is placed, it is going to get some kind of pressure on that, because upon that mass some force is going to act from the fluid. That force per unit area is called as pressure. Whole of this concept is called as fluid pressure. Fluid will exert pressure whether it is in motion or it is in rest position. That is the second point, that fluids under study are into, we study the concept of fluid in two forms, that is at rest or that is going to be in motion. Now all these things what you are learning here in this context, all these things what you are learning here in this context are, one second, I have got some idea, are one second, setting up, I'm setting up. Right, wow, this is fine. Right, all the things what we are learning here, that is fluid pressure, Pascal's law, variation of pressure depth, absolute pressure, Gauss pressure, hydrostatic paradox, and these things, hydraulic machines, all these things what we do here are the case of fluid statics. What are the things we are talking about? We are talking about the case of what? Fluid statics. Fluid statics. Is the point clear? కొద్దిగా అడ్జస్ట్ అవ్వండి, కొద్దిగా సెటప్ ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుంది ఇక్కడ. మేకింగ్ సమ్ న్యూ అరేంజ్మెంట్. यार that's fine. Yeah, it's done. So is the concept clear now so far? Two points I have explained. One is the concept of fluid pressure, the two different types of fluids what we are going to study, or the various aspects what you are studying now in the form of Pascal's law, variation of pressure with height, absolute pressure, Gauss pressure, hydrostatic paradox, hydraulic machines, or the different types of devices what we use to measure the pressure at a place are all purely based upon what kind of branch? No, it is on the first branch of fluids called as fluids statics. Static fluids means in which fluids are assumed to be at rest position. Now shall we talk about the first important thing after these two basic parts? Shall we talk about Pascal's law? If you are okay with this, we'll go ahead. Pascal's law. Pascal's law. Yes. What this, we have seen this in previous class also. What this Pascal's law states? What this Pascal's law states? Yes sir. Okay, Simatamasan. Right. What this Pascal's law states? Pascal's law states that the pressure exerted by a fluid upon any object is the same for all the points on that object, subject to the condition that all the objects are at the same height. Pascal's law states that upon any object, how much of pressure exerted by fluid, how much pressure given by the fluid is going to be same. Going to be same for what? Going to be same for all the particles which are the same height. Means in simple words, all the particles in a fluid with same height will be having same pressure. How to understand this? How to understand this? I'll just take up here. See here. You can see this. There is a jar. There is a jar filled with water. Let us say different locations are there. This is the first height from the bottom surface, height h1. From bottom surface the height h2, bottom surface the height h3. Now h1 has got some number of fluid particles at this height. There are some particles which are at a height of h1, Now what this Pascal's law says is that pressure of this particle is same as that of pressure of this particle. Pressure of this particle and pressure of all the particles which are at the same height. This is at the height of H1, H1, H1. All the particles which are at the same height will be having same pressure. Let us say this pressure is P1. Or first particle has a pressure of P1, second also has P1, third. That is what the meaning of Pascal's law is. Now, there is some other height called as H2. Even there are some other fluid particles here. If you place an object, upon that object you get the force. If you don't place an object, particles of the fluid will get that force or pressure. Now, this particle, another particle is at a height of H2, will be having some pressure P2, and all the particles which are at the same height will have same pressure. All the this particle, all pressure of at the height of these particles will also have same pressure. Only else will have, but pressure of one and these two are different. These two will have different pressures. Is the concept clear? What does Pascal's law states? Pascal's law states that all the particles which are at the same height in a fluid will be having same pressure. Is this point clear or not? Without knowing this, we cannot go further. All the particles which are at the same height will have same pressure. Particles at different heights will have different pressures. This is at a height of H1. Pressure of this is different from that of pressure of this. Pressure of this is different from that of pressure of this. But pressure of this is same as that of pressure of this. Pressure of this is same as that of this. All the particles which are at the same height will have same pressure. All the particles which are at different heights will have different pressures. Is the point clear or not? Nobody is responding. Is this point clear or not? Particles at same height will have same pressure. Particles at different heights will have different pressures. At some height, say constant height, how many number of particles are there? All these particles will have same pressures. What is this law called as? This law is called as Pascal's law. How to define Pascal's law? Pascal's law, I'm defining this. Check out this. You have this definition notes also, not to worry, just listen it from me once. Pascal's law states that pressure exerted by a fluid will remain same for all the particles which are at the same height. Pressure exerted by the particles, by the fluid. Who is exerting pressure on the particles? Fluid is exerting the pressure. The whole concept itself is fluid pressure, right? The pressure exerted by the fluid upon its particles will be remaining same. If all the particles are at the same height. Now, just to understand, just to know whether you understood this or not, I'm going to give you some example like this. Consider a jar filled with fluid. What kind of fluid this is? This is a fluid which is at rest position, because in a jar fluid will not move. In a jar fluid will not move. Now let me say there are some particle 1 here, one more particle 2 here, 1, 2, particle 3 here, particle 4 here, particle 5 here, particle 6 here. Now can you name which particles will have same pressures? Which particles will have different pressures? Particles 4 and 5 are at same height. 1 and 2 are at same height. 3 and 6 are at different heights. Which particles will have same pressure? Which particles? Yes. Pressure of 1 and 2 is same. Pressure of 4 and 5 is same. But pressure of 1 and 4 is different. 1, 2 and 4, 5 same. But 1, 2 pressure is different and 4, 5 pressure is different, because there are different heights. Hopefully all of you got this. Pressure of 4 and 5 is same, but that is different from the top pressure of 1 and 2 because both are at different heights. 3 is having different pressure, 6 is having different pressure, because at different height they'll have different pressures. Is the point clear now? Hopefully you got this point. 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 are same. Most of them are answering, but you should also remember that 1 and 2 is different from the top 4 and 5 because their heights are different, right? Is the point clear? Clear, Mahesh, right? Right. So Pascal's law, definition of Pascal's law is important. What is that? Pascal's law states that, right, very good. Pascal's law states that the pressure exerted by a fluid will be same for all the particles which are at the same height. Pressure exerted by the fluid will be same for all the particles which are at the same height. Once you choose the height to be constant, and the particles which are lying on that height will be having the same pressure. Now let us try to understand the important concept of variation of pressure with depth. Three things are clear: fluid pressure, Pascal's law. Now let us talk about the other part called as variation of pressure with depth. What is the meaning of variation of pressure with depth? I will remove these parts, absolute and gauze. Once we derive this one from this derivation, you are going to get these two definitions. And once you get these two definitions, understanding this becomes easy. Hydrostatic paradox. And lastly, the applications of this Pascal's law is found in the form of hydraulic machine. So I'll just keep this for some more time. I'll just try to explain this here. So what is that we want to learn now? We want to learn about variation of pressure. This is what we want to learn. I'll just show this here. Variation of pressure with depth. What do you mean by variation of pressure with depth? Practically, you can understand this. Yeah, Mahesh, this is practically you can understand this. The moment you go deep inside the water, and these depth means what? Going from top to bottom. Now we are on the surface, just bank of a river. Simple thing. If you are going deep, there is a variation of pressure. Very good, right? That's what. There is an expression for that. We need to understand how this variation takes place in the form of expression, mathematical expression. That expression we are now going to check out. Some little mathematical steps will be involved in this. It is simple. Now, what is the meaning of variation of pressure with depth is that imagine that you are on the bank of the river, like Godavari river or some other river, and you are going into the water. Now, what is happening? You are residing on the surface, and you can start going inside the water. The more and more inside you go, you are said to be going more depth. Means that depth you are measuring from the surface of the water, from the bank, from the surface of the earth, or from the bank of the river. You are measuring. That means you are measuring from top to bottom, from surface. The moment you are going inside, you are now considered to be in the form of. Now listen this. How to derive mathematical expression for this variation of pressure? Consider a beaker or a jar. Consider a beaker or a jar which is filled up with water up to a certain level, or completely filled up also you can take this. Now first and foremost, listen. This is water is the most easily found element. Accordingly, we are using this water. Water will be having its density with that rho. For fluid, for every fluid, there is a parameter associated with that called as density. Now, let the density of water be rho. Now, what is that we do? Somebody's entire Kondalaya one. Right, just go through derivation of this. Okay, go through derivation of this. Consider. Maybe you are talking about the value of density of water. Right. Got it. Right. Fine. Or just remember that there is some kind of parameter associated with the fluid. The most important parameter associated with any kind of fluid is density. Fluid, we have taken some kind of a fluid whose density is rho. Here for convenience, because we get water easily, I am taking that we have taken water in a jar, and that has been having. Now listen. Consider a cylindrical element inside this jar. Consider some kind of cylindrical element inside this jar. Element be h. Height of this element. Let the height of this element what you are choosing is h. Now, when you are talking about the definition of fluid pressure. Voice is not clear, Kalyani. Is that same for all? No, I can't do anything if it goes. No. Okay. Kalyani, you may get in a time, in a moment. You can just wait for a while. You'll get it. Clear, sir. Okay. Right. Okay. Stop it. I'll just go ahead. Okay. So listen. Now we talk about one important concept of fluid pressure. Now one more point I want to add to that. when an object is immersed in a fluid, remember this point. If an object is immersed in a fluid, this is the object immersed in a fluid. In what direction force this object is going to get pressure, right? When an object is immersed in a fluid, I'll show you here. This is the fluid, maybe water or air, an object is immersed in this. If you have an object immersed in a fluid, okay, no upwards, Mahesh says. If an object is immersed in a fluid, in what direction that fluid, that object is going to get the pressure acting on that? The answer is the pressure exerted by the fluid on any object would be always normal to its surface. Important point this is. I did not tell you this in the beginning part. I have to tell you this. I forgot. I'm just recapping it. In what direction the force exerted by the fluid would be acting on the body? If you have an object like this, if you take an object like this in a fluid onto the surface, towards normally every time the force would act from the fluid. Means what? If you take this one, there are how many surfaces are there for this? This is surface 1, surface 2, surface 3, surface 4. On 4 sides it is going to get even bottom and top also. 6 surfaces, top and bottom. Now upon surface 2, pressure, force acting by the fluid would be perpendicular. Normal means perpendicular to the surface. Force on this surface is going to be like this. Force on this surface is going to be like this. Force on this surface is going to be like this. Important point. In what direction force will be acting on the object? If you immerse any kind of an object like this on this object, if this is immersed in a fluid, on this surface force would be acting like this. On this surface force would be acting. This is called as force will always act normal to the surface of the object. Force will always act in what direction? Force will always act normal to the surface. Now upon this surface, what is the direction of force? Direction of force is going to be like this. Upon this surface, direction of force on the fluid is going to be like this. This force per area gives the pressure. Force direction itself would be the force pressure direction. Not to bother about that. This is what the direction of force. Is the concept clear? If you have a surface like this, upon this surface, force would be acting normal to the surface. If you have a surface like this, force would be acting normal to the surface. Yeah, if force acts on all directions, then the object will be in the same position. Yes, yes, that is the thing what you are studying under fluid statics, Mahesh. Fluid statics means what? Fluid is not moving. If fluid is not moving, an object what is assumed inside is also not moving. This is also at rest position only. What do you mean by rest position now? Your point will lie here. This object what you are assuming here is at rest position. What does it mean? What does it mean? How much of force acts in from upward direction, equivalent amount of force is going to act in the downward direction. And these two gets force cancelled because object is same, fluid is same. These two forces will cancel, hence body will not move like this. And there are two vertical forces acting on the body, two horizontal forces acting on the body, and all these forces are acting in opposite directions. As long as the fluid is at rest position, an object inside that will also get zero net force acting on the body. That is the next point actually, what I want to tell you. First of all, directions of force is important. Then how identifying the net force acting on the body is important. Now usually what you find is that when you place an object and it falls down onto the bottom, in that case net force is how much? If an object is falling inside this one, now this is an object which is not moving, which is at rest position. If this object, I have assumed some shape like this, and I say now that this object is at rest position, what does it mean? What does it mean? Sum of upward forces is equals to 0, and sum of vertical forces is equal to 0, sum of horizontal forces is equals to 0. And remember this important point: the force exerted by the fluid upon any object would be always normal to the surface of the body. This is important point. Force exerted upon any object in a fluid will be always normal to the surface, normally inward to the surface, not outward. From here force will not act, pressure will be exerted. Now you can understand this. If you try to immerse something in the form in a water, in the form of a thermocol sheet, You can sometimes make that one to go inside properly, and sometimes it moves away. It skids, it jumps from our hands and it comes, try to escapes. Clear? Depending on, is the point clear now? Normal to surface. Force acting on a object in the fluid will be always normal to the surface. Now let us get back to this. After knowing that point, let us get back to this. What is that? I have taken a beaker. Concentrate here. I have taken a beaker. I am assuming some kind of an element which is at rest position in the form of a cylindrical shaped object. Let this be the top surface of the element and this be the bottom surface of the element. Yes or no? Because from the beaker we take from top region. From top region, this is the first point what you are going to come across. This is called as top region. One is named as top region, two is called as bottom region. Right? And how much is the height of the element taken here? Height of the element is taken to be in the form of h1. Let the top region is at a height of h1 from the top surface of the beaker, and bottom region be at a height of, I'll just redraw this. There is a jar filled with fluid, and inside this jar, I'm now not showing water there. Okay, it is assumed that it is present. I am now assuming some kind of cylindrical element inside this. And how much is the height of the cylindrical element? Height of the cylindrical element is going to be h. This is the top surface. This is region 1. And this is the bottom surface. This is the region 2. This is called as region 1 is the top surface. Region 2 is the bottom surface of the fluid, of the object. For this object, is the point clear? Then what force will act on it as it will not dip into the water? Mahesh, I'll talk about this a little later. Let us complete this. I'll talk about that a little later. Let me conclude this part. Right. Just remember that question. We'll pose that again. Just understand this concept first. And cylindrical shaped object is assumed. How many forces are acting on that? Forces acting on that are vertical force in the downward. On the top surface, it is exerted by that bottom downward force. On the bottom surface, it is acted upon by the upward force. Yes or no? Pressure will exerted. This is fluid pressure everywhere. Entire jar filled with fluid. On the top surface, force would be exerted in the downward direction. On the bottom surface, force would be exerting in the upward direction. And this is horizontal force in this direction and horizontal force in this direction. The net force acting on the body. Net force. For this object, if I assume that this has a mass of m, that it is also going to have one more downward force called as weight of the body, mg. If the mass of the element is supposed to be m, mass of the object is assumed to be m, along with the downward force on the top surface, entire body will be having some kind of net downward force acting on the body. Now, I'm assuming that this is at a height of h1, this is at a height of what? h2. Difference of these two heights is equals to how much? Difference of these two is equals to height h1. Now, can we write expression for the net pressure acting at this point? How much is the pressure? Let me say P1 is a pressure at region 1 and P2 is a pressure at region 2. Do we have different pressures or same pressures now at these 2 points? At these 2 points, do we have difference of pressures or same pressures? P1 and P2. From Pascal's law, we can say that as both. Very good. Different. Yes. Because both are at different heights, pressures are going to be different. Now, what is that we are saying? I am supposing that pressure at this location to be P1. At region 1, pressure is P1. At region 2, pressure is going to be P2. Very good. Most of you answered different, right? Right. Now, how much is the force? If I suppose this is the element under consideration, let me suppose this is having an area of A with that. It will have some area with that, right? Let that area be given by means of A. Then, can I say that force acting at the first point would be equals to P1A? How much of force acting at this point? Can we say that force acting at first top region? F1 corresponds to top region. Force acting on the top surface of the element will be equals to P1A. And in what direction this is? Downward. Can we say this? Can we say this? If I suppose P1 as a pressure, Then force acting on the top region can be given by means of F1 is equals to P1A. Similarly, force acting on the bottom surface is given by means of what? P2A, which is in the upward direction. Yes or no? Just think of this. Force acting on the bottom surface is given by pressure acting at the bottom surface multiplied by area, pressure into area, but this is in what direction when compared to the first one? When compared, first one is going downwards, this is going in the upward direction. Then there is also one more force acting on the body given by means of W, that is weight of the body, given by means of mg, acting in what direction again? This weight mg also acts in downward direction only. Yes or no? There are two forces acting in downward direction, one force acting in the upward direction. Can we say this? Then net force is equals to, net force acting on the body is equals to sum of F1 plus F2. This net force itself is equals to W. Net force acting on the body is equals to, net force is balanced by weight of the body. Yes, net force is balanced by the weight of the body. That is W is equals to F1 plus F2. Now you should be careful enough in understanding plus or minus. Both are opposites to each other, right? Are F1 F2 same direction, opposite directions? F1 and F2 are acting in opposite directions. Now which one needs to be taken plus and which one needs to be taken minus? Opposite. Very good. Out of F1 F2, obviously one would be plus, other would be minus. Which one I have to take plus, which one I have to take minus? F1 is plus. Now to understand this, which is plus and which is minus, just remember F2 minus. Why you say F2 minus? Why you people say F2 minus? Because F2 is acting in upward direction, but that is not the case. You have taken upward, you have taken, right, you have taken, yeah, F1 is minus. Somebody answered no. Madhu, F1 is minus. Very good. Because force acting, right. I'll just tell you why it is like that. Here we now say that W is equals to F1, that is plus F1 minus F2. Is that clear? Is it plus F1? No. It is plus F2 minus F1. It is minus F1. Let me say minus F1 plus F2. Can anybody say why it is like this? Because acting in upward direction. Remember this. In kinematics or in the straight line chapter, you have seen that anything going up is always taken to be positive. Anything coming down is always taken to be negative. That is the reason why we take G always to be negative, right? We have written these equations earlier. Anything going up. Going up means what? Going up means going in positive direction from 0 upon increment. Change is positive. Anything coming down, it is moving from high value to low value, taken to be in the form of. Now what is the point clear? Yes, you should be clear. I don't want to recap much here. You should know that net weight acting on the body is equal to sum of the forces acting on the body. Or as these two are acting in opposite directions, one should be plus, one should be minus, and clearly which one is taken to be plus and which one is taken to be minus here? F1 is taken to be minus because F1 is acting in the downward direction. Anything coming in downward direction is negative from kinematics equations what you have seen earlier. More equations of motion in a straight line. And anything going up is always positive. Since F1 pressure 1 is acting downwards, this is negative, and this is acting in the upward direction, this is going to be, this point is important. If you don't know this point, you cannot write this equation. Is the point clear? Is this point clear? Why F1 is negative, F2 is positive. The entire concept lies here only. Or if you have any doubt, simply you can put mod of this one. Anything can be positive, anything can be negative. That's simple thing. Or to be more clear, I'm just emphasizing on this. Okay. So the point is minus F1 is minus because it is going in downward direction. F2 is positive because it is going in the upward direction. Okay. Many of you are saying that. Right. Now let us come to this equation. Can I say that W is equals to mg? Mg is equals to mg is equals to what is, I'll write positive terms first. P2 F2 is equals to what? P2A minus P1. Yeah, can you write like this? P2A minus P1A. You can write like this, right? Right. Now, continuing much more further, I'll write this first. P2 minus P1 of A is equals to mg. Can you write? P2 minus P1 of, I'm just writing this part. P2 minus P1 of A, I'm just rearranging the terms of this one. F1 is P1A with minus and F2 is P2A with a plus. Accordingly, I have written plus first and negative minus. Or if you take common of this one A here, P2 minus P1 of A is equals to mg. Now we are trying to write this mg in terms of density. Density is equals to mass by volume. Mass is equals to density into volume. Density of what? Density of the object. Because there are two densities here. Object is having some density, fluid is having some density. Density of what? Now density is equal to mass by volume. Density is equals to mass by volume. Accordingly, density of the object is taken here. Density, I'm just simply replacing that by density. Now, P2 minus P1 is equals to P2 minus P1 is equals to mass is equals to density into volume. Mass is density into volume into G is as is. By A you can write like this. Right, sir? You can write like this. Rho Vg by A. Pressure is equals to A is taken to the other side, it becomes mg by A, but m is equals to what? Rho into V, or this is what is V here? What is V? Volume. Can you say that volume is equals to area into H? This has an area of A. The cylindrical object, what you assume? This cylindrical object, what you assumed is having an area of A here and a height of H here. Is it not the product of these two is volume? A into H. Can you write volume as A into H? Can you write like that or not? You can write, right? We can write like that. So just wait a while, right? So P2 minus P1 is equals to rho into A into H into G by A, right, sir? A into H, A into H. I just replace this volume by A into H. If A and A gets cancelled, P2 minus P1 is equals to rho into G into H. This is the equation what I have shown you in previous class also. Change of pressure P2 minus P1 is equals to this is rho density, rho into G into H, or final pressure at bottom location P2. P2 is the pressure at bottom location. Pressure P2 at bottom location is equals to P1 plus rho GH. In which fluid you are moving? In which fluid you are moving? Pressure at bottom location is equals to pressure on the top surface plus at what depth you are now from the top surface? We are now at a depth of what? Something is added to the pressure on the top surface. This is a pressure. Now imagine this equation. This pressure P1 is the pressure acting upon us when we are standing on the bank of the river. This pressure P1 is a pressure. Now there is no height for you. If H is 0, you are not going any deep inside. If H is 0, whole of this is 0. Then how much is the pressure acting on you? Same as that of the pressure on the top surface. Now if you go to 100 meters inside, to the pressure on the top surface, something is added which is making final pressure acting on us to be more than the pressure here. Is that is the case? What we say that pressure on P2 is what? Pressure on the bottom surface. Pressure on the bottom surface is equals to pressure acting on the top surface plus rho GH. Important equation this is. Pressure at bottom surface is equals to pressure acting on the top surface plus the factors of rho GH. Is the point clear? Is this equation clear? Clear or not? Mathematical steps are not difficult to follow. If you have any difficulties, just go through this derivation part. Is simply you'll understand that. Clear, sir. Clear, sir. Clear, sir. Okay. What is that now? See here. In this case, we say pressure here is P2. pressure at bottom surface. How much is that equation you obtained? You obtained this equation to be pressure on the top surface plus the factors of what? Rho GH. Rho is what? Rho is the density of this object, what is immersed in this fluid. Immersed in this fluid. Here I have assumed no object, only some space of which is having same density as that of fluid also. Which is having same density, clear, okay. Same density as that of fluid. Or the more this H talks about the height what you are going or the depth what you are going from the top surface. This is the bank of the river. You are standing here, and when you are here, you are getting some pressure called as P1. And when you are going to a depth of height H from the top surface to the bottom, you are going to get a new pressure given by means of this plus something is added to this. Means something is added, obviously it increases. So pressure as you go deep inside increases with the depth. Pressure at the bottom surface would be more for more heights. Means more and more depth you go into the water, more and more pressure is what you are going to get acting on us. Accordingly, if more pressure acts on us, what we get floated away in that water. Is this derivation clear now? This is the derivation what is important for us. Variation of pressure with depth. That is the heading, right? What was the heading? What was the heading? Heading is variation of pressure with depth. This is the meaning of variation of pressure with depth. Now, let us understand what this absolute pressure is. Here you assume the body to be fully immersed like this. Now, if I suppose that in the same case, in the same example, this is a beaker what we have. This is a beaker what we have. And water is completely filled onto this jar. Fluids at rest. Now, if you assume this element exactly from the top surface of the element. Earlier you have assumed that element to be completely immersed. Now you have assuming that element which is on the top surface. What does that mean now? Pressure on the top surface is equals to atmospheric pressure only. How much pressure? Now what is atmospheric pressure? What is atmospheric pressure? Pressure exerted upon us by the atmosphere. Now I am standing here, you are standing or sitting somewhere in your places. You are acted upon by some pressure given by the air. How much pressure that is now called as? That is called as atmospheric pressure. What is pressure called as? Pressure exerted by the atmosphere upon an object. Object can be you, object can be me, object can be duster, object can be anything. Upon that element, because of the surrounding fluid, how much of pressure is acting, that is called as atmospheric pressure. And we indicate this atmospheric pressure by PA. P with subscript A, atmospheric pressure this is. Right? And the final pressure what you got here is called as absolute pressure. What is pressure called as? The pressure what is obtained here P2 is called as absolute pressure. What do you mean of absolute value? Absolute pressure. Absolute pressure is the exact pressure exerted by the body at that location. Pressure at location 2 is equals to P1 plus rho GH, right? What is P2 now called as? P2 is called as absolute pressure. What is? Are the 2 points clear? If you assume that location of the body to be exactly from the top surface. Now this is a river. This is the water surface on the topmost part. And how much pressure exerted by the water at that location is called as atmospheric pressure. From that, if you are going deep inside to a height of H, you are getting a new pressure. How much pressure you have got when you go deep inside the air, inside the water, that pressure is called as what? Absolute pressure. What is pressure called as? Absolute pressure. Absolute pressure is the exact value of pressure at any location. Exact value of pressure at any location is called as absolute pressure. Now we indicate this absolute pressure by P, and we indicate the first initial point of pressure to be atmospheric pressure. Using that, can you write this equation like this? Absolute pressure is equals to P atmospheric plus rho GH. Earlier we had equation P2 is equals to P1 plus rho GH. We are modifying this equation to this form. Is the point clear? Is this point clear? There are two equations. Have we got this equation? Had we got this equation? P2 is equals to P1 plus rho GH. P1 plus rho GH. Right? Now I'm replacing P2 by what? I'm replacing P2 by what? Replacing P2 by capital P, which is called as absolute pressure. Exact value of pressure at any location is called as absolute pressure. When I am replacing this P2 by P, when I am supposing that P1 to be atmospheric pressure, if initial pressure acting on the body is only atmospheric pressure, nothing else is present, then that is called as atmospheric pressure, or absolute pressure P is equals to atmospheric pressure plus rho GH. Is this point clear? What is absolute pressure now? Absolute pressure, yes Mahesh, clear, okay. What is absolute pressure? Exact value of pressure at any location is called as absolute pressure. Now, you can write, can you write P1 minus PA from this? From this, can you write that P minus PA is equals to rho GH? Simply taking PA to this side, what it becomes? If you take PA to this side, it becomes P1 minus PA is equal to rho GH. This value of difference of pressure is called as Gauss pressure. What is that pressure called as? That pressure is called as Gauss pressure. Gauss pressure is the difference of pressure between two locations. Here, at this location, the pressure is called as absolute pressure. At this location, pressure is called as atmospheric pressure. Difference of these two pressures is called as Gauss pressure. Is the point clear with all absolute? Yeah, will all that be same at all locations? All locations at the same height, it is same, Mahesh. Yes or no? Different locations, you can assume like this. Absolute pressure will be same for all the particles which are at the same height, either from top or from bottom you take. As long as height is remaining same, absolute pressure will be remaining same. All the particles which are at this location will have same absolute pressures. All the particles which are at this location is called as same absolute pressure. But absolute pressure here and absolute pressure here is going to be different. The point clear? Once tell about absolute pressure. Rishita, it is simple. Absolute pressure is the total pressure exerted upon any body at that location. ఒకానొక లొకేషన్ దగ్గర ఒక పార్టికల్ కి ఎంత ప్రెషర్ ఉంది అనేది అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్. రీకాలింగ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇక్కడ ఉన్నప్పుడు మన పైన ఒక ప్రెషర్ వస్తుంది, మన పైన ఇప్పుడు ఉన్న టోటల్ ప్రెషర్ ఎంత, అదే అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్. ఇప్పుడు వీఆర్ ఆన్ ద సర్ఫేస్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎర్త్, absolute pressure is different at different heights, right Madhu? That's right. Now we are simple. Rishita, listen, no audio kada mo question, listen to this. We are on the surface of the earth now, acted upon by the flow of air. మన పైన ఎయిర్ పనిచేస్తుంది కదా. ఇప్పుడు మన పైన ఉన్న అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ప్రెషర్ రెండు సేమే. మన పైన ఉన్నటువంటి atmospheric pressure and absolute pressure are same because we are at what height on the surface of the earth? We are at a height of surface 0 on the earth. But surface of the earth నుంచి నేను 100 kilometers పైకి వెళ్ళినా 100 kilometers లోపలికి వెళ్ళినా ఈ వాల్యూ మారిపోతుంది కదా. మారిపోయినప్పుడు అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ప్రెషర్ నుంచి నేను ఎంత దూరం వెళ్ళాను దానికి ఎంతో కొంత యాడ్ అవుతుంది. దానివల్ల వచ్చే కొత్త ప్రెషర్ ని మనం ఏమంటాము? అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్. డెఫినేషన్ ఇస్ సింపుల్. Absolute pressure is the pressure exerted upon any object by the fluid at certain location. ఒకనొక లొకేషన్ దగ్గర ఎంత చేస్తుంది అన్నది. ఇప్పుడు ఈ లొకేషన్ దగ్గర ఎంతైతే ప్రెషర్ వస్తుందో ఆ ఎగ్జాక్ట్ వాల్యూ ఆఫ్ ప్రెషర్ మనం ఏమంటాము అంటే అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్ అంటాము. ద పాయింట్ క్లియర్ రిషిత? ప్రెషర్ అనేది ప్రెషర్ వాల్యూనే. క్లియర్ సార్? నెక్స్ట్ టాపిక్. ఓకే, గుడ్, రైట్. అబ్సల్యూట్ ప్రెషర్ డన్, Gauss pressure done. Now let us talk about hydrostatic paradox, because hopefully most of you are clear with this. Difference of, remember like this, exact value of pressure at any location is called as absolute pressure. Difference of pressure between two locations is called as Gauss pressure. Difference of pressure between two locations is called as Gauss pressure. Now what is this hydrostatic paradox means imagine that you have three different containers. You have three containers of different shapes. You have three containers of different shapes. What is that? This is container 1 in this form. This is container 2 in V-shaped form. and this is container 3 in inverted V-shape form. We have 3 different containers. What is the difference between here? What is the difference of these 3? This is a cylindrical container, this is a V-shaped jar, and this is an inverted V-shaped jar. Let me take different width of this one as compared with the first one. Some difference is there, right? This is a bigger one, this is inverted, and the point clear? We have 3 different jars. We have 3 different jars which are open on both the sides. Now, if you connect this one to a single pipe, I'm connecting 3 different shaped jars to a single pipe. This is container 1, this is container 2, this is empty space, nothing is there. This is empty space, nothing is there. Assume cheyakanడి. What is that? I have taken 3 different containers. I have taken, important thing, this is called as hydrostatic paradox. What is this called as? This is called as hydrostatic paradox. What is the meaning of hydrostatic paradox? Is that if you take 3 different shaped containers and connected to the same horizontal pipe, these 3 are connected to the same horizontal pipe, and from one end of that one you pump water into this. You pump water into this. If you pass water into this pipe, is this arrangement clear? Is this arrangement clear? I have 3 shaped containers. One is cylindrical shaped container, and there is V-shaped container, and there is inverted V-shaped container. All these 3 shaped containers are connected to the same horizontal pipe, and through the pipe you are sending water. And into water vastundi kada pipe flow. Yeah, right, clear, Madhu says. Now when you pump water into this water it is pumping will be having some pressure with that. ఈ వాటర్ కి ఎంతో కొంత ప్రెషర్ తో లోపలికి వస్తుంది కదమ్మా. వచ్చినప్పుడు now what is that you are going to get? The question is, if you pump some amount of water with some pressure, which of the containers will have దేని లోపల ఎక్కువ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ వస్తుంది, దేని లోపల తక్కువ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ వస్తుంది అంటాం. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ దాకా వాటర్ పైకి ఎంటర్ అవుతుందా, ఇక్కడ దాకా వచ్చినట్టు ఈ ఓపెనింగ్ లో ఎంటర్ అవుతుందా, ఇక్కడ దాకా వచ్చినట్టు ఈ ఓపెనింగ్ లో ఎంటర్ అవుతుందా? ఇలా ఎంటర్ అవుతున్నప్పుడు ఏ కంటైనర్ లోపల మీకు కన్ఫ్యూజన్ పోవాలంటే ఏం చేస్తానంటే దీన్ని ఒక ఈ షేప్ జార్ చేస్తాను, ఒక రెక్టాంగులర్ షేప్ జార్ చేస్తాను. This is jar 3. This is cylindrical shaped, this is V-shaped jar, and this is rectangular shaped jar or square shaped jar కదా. ఇప్పుడు వాటర్ ని ఇక్కడ పంపిస్తున్నప్పుడు ఏ మూడిటి లోపల ఏ జార్ లోపల ఎక్కువ హైట్ వస్తుంది? మూడిటి లోపల ఏ జార్ లోపల ఎక్కువ హైట్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ వస్తుంది? సెకండ్ కంటైనర్, ఆల్ కంటైనర్స్ సేమ్ హైట్. Madhu, right? Yeah, Mahesh, it's not second container. I said it is first container. Wrong. All are equal. Shirisha, right? Madhu, equal, right? Now Madhu, just check out why Mahesh and others who feel others are, check out మూడిట్లోనూ సేమ్ హైట్ వస్తుందమ్మా వాటర్ అనేది. ఇలా మూడిట్లో సేమ్ హైట్ రావడాన్ని మనం ఏమంటాము అంటే హైడ్రోస్టాటిక్ పారాడాక్స్ అని అంటాం. ఏమంటాము? మూడిట్లోనూ సేమ్ హైట్ రావడాన్ని, సేమ్ హైట్, రైట్, మూడిట్లోనూ సేమ్ హైట్ రావడాన్ని మనము హైడ్రోస్టాటిక్ పారాడాక్స్ అంటే మనము జనరల్ గా ఏమనుకుంటాము అంటే వీల్ ఫీల్ దట్ డిఫరెంట్ కంటైనర్స్ కాబట్టి డిఫరెంట్ హైట్స్ వస్తాయి అనుకుంటాము. బట్ రిమెంబర్, as long as all these are connected to the same pipe, this pressure for anything is given by rho g h. ఒకనొక ప్రెషర్ కి ఒక హైట్ పాసిబుల్. Yes or no? Pressure is denoted by rho g h formula for one kind of a pressure. ఇందులో వచ్చే ప్రెషర్, మూడిటికి వచ్చే ప్రెషర్ సేమే కదా. దీనికి వచ్చిన ప్రెషర్ కనెక్టెడ్ టు దిస్ పైప్, దిస్ ఆల్సో కనెక్టెడ్ టు ద సేమ్ పైప్, దిస్ ఆల్సో కనెక్టెడ్ టు ద సేమ్ పైప్. మూడిటికి వచ్చిన ప్రెషర్ సేమ్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఒక ప్రెషర్ కి ఒక హైట్ మాత్రమే పాసిబుల్ కదా ఫ్రమ్ పాస్కల్స్ లా. Accordingly, no matter whatever the shape of the container you take, all the containers will be having the same level of height. Having this kind of same heights for different vessels is called as hydrostatic paradox. Hydrostatic called as water, hydrogen, water content. Static, rest position లో ఉన్నట్టుగా అనిపిస్తుంది, మూడిట్లోనూ ఒకే హైట్ లో వస్తుంది. ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ఏమంటాం మనము? హైడ్రోస్టాటిక్ పారాడాక్స్ అని అంటాము. ఇస్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ క్లియర్? Hydrostatic paradox. different containers when connected to the same pressure will always have same amounts of heights of water with it. And this has got one practical application if you understand. దీనికి ఒక చిన్న practical application ఉంది చెప్పాలంటే మీకు. How many of you stay in apartments? How many of you stay in apartments? Anybody here who stay in apartments? If not, have you ever seen campus కి వచ్చినప్పుడు మన రూమ్స్ లో మనకు వచ్చే వాటర్ ని అబ్జర్వ్ చేశారా? మన మీరుండే బిల్డింగ్స్ లలో. Or what I am trying to tell you is that in apartments you will find two different tanks at two different locations. Two different tanks ఉంటాయి అపార్ట్మెంట్స్ లో. పైన సింటెక్స్ ట్యాంక్స్ ఉంటాయి కదమ్మా. there will be two different tanks. రెండిట్లోనూ పంపింగ్ చేస్తానికి ఒకటే హారిజాంటల్ పైప్ కనెక్ట్ చేస్తారు. పంపింగ్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్, డ్రైనింగ్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్. Right now, to check how much of the level of water present in these two, no need to check both. ఒక దానిలో ఎంతైతే లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ వస్తుందో ఈ కంటెంట్ ఈ ట్యాంక్స్ లోపల వాటర్ పైకి వెళ్ళటం కూడా ఒకేలాగా పెరుగుతుంది అండ్ తగ్గటం కూడా ఒకేలాగా తగ్గుతుంది. నో మ్యాటర్ ఆఫ్ ద డైమెన్షన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద ట్యాంక్స్ యూ టేక్. ఎలాంటి డైమెన్షన్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్యాంక్స్ తీసుకున్నా సరే, ఒకటి చిన్నది ఒకటి పెద్దది తీసుకున్నా సరే ఏమవుతుంది, ఇందులో ఇంక్రిమెంట్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ కూడా ఒకేలాగా జరుగుతుంది, డిక్రిమెంట్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ కూడా ఒకేలాగా జరుగుతుంది. ఆర్ ఒక దానిలో ఎక్కువ తక్కువ అవుతున్నాడు ఏమవుతుందంటే బ్యాలెన్స్ చేసుకుంటుంది. ఈ విధంగా మూవ్ చేసుకుంటూ ఇది ఎక్కువ తీసుకుంటే తక్కువ తీసుకుని బ్యాలెన్స్ చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్తుంది. అండ్ డ్రైనింగ్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్, ఇప్పుడు ఎంత వాటర్ లెవెల్ ఉంది చెప్పాలంటే రెండింటిలో చెక్ చేయాల్సిన పని లేదు, ఒక దానిలో చెక్ చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది. ఇస్ దిస్ కాన్సెప్ట్ క్లియర్? ట్యాంక్స్, రెండు ట్యాంక్స్ ఒక దగ్గర కనెక్ట్ అయ్యండి. మన క్యాంపస్ లో ప్రతి బిల్డింగ్ ఇదే కనెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. మీకు అక్కడ పాసిబిలిటీ ఉంటే చెక్ చేసుకోండి, లేకపోతే క్యాంపస్ కి వచ్చినాక చెక్ చేయండి. Write the concept of hydrostatic paradox. Now we are left with last one, hydraulic machines. దీన్ని నేను ఓన్లీ థియరిటికల్ గా చెప్పేస్తానమ్మా, టైం చాలా అయిపోయింది కాబట్టి. నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ లో అవసరం అయితే మనము ఎలాబరేట్ చేద్దాం. But the last thing left out here, last thing is hydraulic machines. If you take thermocol, will float. Mahesh చెప్పు, any doubt into then what force will act on it? Then what force will act on it as it will not dip into the water? Avunu, the force what you are applying on the thermocol will be in the downward direction and force from the fluid would be acting in the upward direction. What does it mean if it is not dipping inside? What does it mean if it is not going inside? It means that upward force is more and downward force is less. What is the meaning? If a thermocol sheet is not moving inside this, it means that the net amount of downward force is acting less on this object than that of the net amount of upward force. In order to make that adjustment, you need to apply more amount of force in the downward direction. If we take thermocol and float, then ship again the same mechanism. Why it is not flowing means the ship base would be made in such a way that depending the concept of densities. We have seen in the previous case like what density will make the object to move and what densities, what is the density relations we have. If density of the object is more and density of the fluid is less, then more density will go inside, less density will come up. Means the base of the ship should be made in such kind of a material whose density would be less than density of the fluid. Ships are made with such kind of a base element. Ships are made with such kind of a base element whose densities are less than that of the density of the fluid. Whose density is more, that would win. One density is trying to go inside, one more density is trying to go upward. Which will win here? Whose density is more, that will win. Accordingly, ships are constructed like that. Okay, fine. It's okay because I don't want to prolong much on this. Good doubts, Mahesh. Fine. Last one. Hydraulic machines. Okay, sir. Hydraulic machines are the devices which make use of Pascal's law applications, which make use of Pascal's law. What does Pascal's law states? Pascal's law states that I'll take example to understand it. Just define the definitions. Hydraulic machines are the one which are constructed by making use of the Pascal's law. What does Pascal's law states? Pascal's law states that pressure at any point remains same as long as the height is same. Pressure is remaining same as long as the height is same. This Pascal's law is also defined in one more way. Pressure applied at one point would be distributed equally to all the directions equally. Okanoka point here, pressure apply is a fluid pan name. If you have a jar, you have a fluid. If you apply pressure at one side of a fluid, what happens? This pressure would be distributed equally to all the points. Would be distributed equally to all the points. You can take a balloon, fill it with water, put holes at different places, and try to compress it from the top. Try to press it from the top. We'll find that water level coming out. And water level coming out is same. How much of external pressure you act with same pressure, all the fluid is going to come out at different locations. This is called as distribution of Pascal's law. Pressure acting at one point would be distributed equally to all the directions. So by making use of this Pascal's law, hydraulic machines are considered. What are hydraulic machines? First of all, hydraulic machines are those which are used to build up heavy weights, or which are used to apply force on small area. We apply force on small area, and result of this would be acting on the larger area. This mechanism is called as hydraulic braking system. What is called as hydraulic braking system? We have this system in cars, hydraulic braking. Let me just tell you the examples how it goes on. Hydraulic machines are those which consist of two different containers with different cross-sectional areas. Hydraulic machine means something like this. Hydraulic machines, which is something like this. Okay. Hydraulic machine consists of two different jars connected by means of a tube or a U-shaped tube like this. And this side we say pressure acting is P1, and this side we say pressure acting as P2. Pressure acting on this depends upon the force F1 and this area A1. This area where undi kadamma. And pressure acting on this depends upon the force here and the area here. Since from Pascal's law, pressure is distributed equally on both the sides. How much of pressure you apply here, same amount of pressure it is going. Now, if you take a liquid inside this, any liquid inside this, and you apply, take a piston, enclose this by a piston, and take one more piston here in the form of a thing. And if you apply force on this piston in some direction, downward direction, it is going to get pressure P1. This pressure is distributed equally to all the parts. Accordingly, the same pressure is going to come out. So what according to Pascal's law is that pressure at 1 is equals to pressure at 2, because how much of force you apply with same force, or Pascal's law itself states that pressure acting at one point is distributed equally to all the directions equally. This is called as hydraulic machine. ఇదేమంటాం దీన్ని మనము hydraulic machine. మీకు అర్థం అవ్వాలంటే చూడండి అమ్మా, మనము కార్ సర్వీసింగ్కి వెళ్ళాము అనుకోండి, చూసుంటారు. కార్స్ ఆర్ లిఫ్టెడ్ అప్ యూజింగ్ సమ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సిస్టమ్. ఏదో ఒక టూ రాడ్స్ పైన పెట్టేసి దాన్ని పైకి తీసుకెళ్తారు కార్ని. వెళ్తారా? చూసారా ఎక్కడైనా? To repair a car, to do servicing of a car, bigger vehicles, they take that one to on some kind of a rods like this and they lift it up. Seen, I think you might, Seema Muslim, yes, you have seen that, right? That is what the thing called as hydraulic machine. That is what the machine is. So అక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుందమ్మా, దీనిపైన కార్ పెట్టాం మనం. This is a car, what is placed on that. దీనిపైన కార్ పెట్టాం. ఇప్పుడు ఈ కార్ని పైకి తీయాలి. మనం కార్ని డైరెక్ట్ గా పైకి లేపగలుగుతామా? కార్ని డైరెక్ట్ గా పైకి లేపగలుగుతామా? With the help of jack, right? We are apply. This is a jack system where we apply force on that less area పైన less force apply చేస్తున్నామా? జాక్ సిస్టమ్ ఆర్ హైడ్రాలిక్ సిస్టమ్ మనం ఏం చేస్తాము, less area పైన less force apply చేస్తాం. F1 is less, A1 is less, accordingly some pressure is created. But this is lifting, this is doing what? ఇది larger area పైన larger force ని create చేస్తుంది because of Pascal's law. Accordingly, the more and more keep on applying the force, that would start moving this bigger body in the upward direction. Is the concept clear? This is called as, with the help of Vinod Macharla, with the help of Jack, right? Hopefully you got this point now. Moving, bigger things can be moved in the upward direction or can be lifted up easily by using this mechanism of what? Hydraulic machine. Clear this point? Yes, tractor, yeah, everything, every vehicle, car, lorry, bus, anything what has to be lifted up. Simple thing is there in that. What is that? We apply less force on lesser area, creating some pressure. This pressure is now transmitted to larger force, larger area. Accordingly, same pressure is transmitted to larger object. This mechanism is called as hydraulic machine. Same thing is useful in braking also. Car brakes is aaptam kadama manamu. Just think simply understand this. We stop a car by applying brakes. Yes or no? ఎక్కడ అప్లై చేస్తాం బ్రేక్స్ అనేది మనకి ఒక చిన్న ఏరియా, ఒక చిన్న షీట్ లా, ఐరన్ షీట్ లాంటి ఉంటుంది, బ్రేక్ అంటాం దాన్ని ఇలా ప్రెస్ చేస్తాం కాలుతోటి, అవునా? ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? యూ హ్యావ్ సమ్ బ్రేక్ పెడల్ విత్ స్మాలర్ ఏరియా A1 అండ్ యూర్ అప్లైయింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఆన్ దట్ యూజింగ్ యువర్ పామ్. కాలు యొక్క ఫీట్ ని యూజ్ చేసి ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేస్తున్నామా లేదా? లెసర్ ఫోర్స్ ఇస్ అప్లైడ్ ఆన్ లెసర్ ఏరియా. మనము బ్రేకింగ్ సిస్టమ్ లో చేస్తుంది అదే కదా. ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? జస్ట్ రిప్లై. వీఆర్ అప్లైయింగ్ ఫోర్స్. ఎస్, వీఆర్ అప్లైయింగ్ లెసర్ ఫోర్స్. మనం కార్ ఆపాలంటే చాలా ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేసి ఆపుతున్నామా, ఆర్ కొద్దిగా ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేసి ఆపుతున్నామా? you're applying lesser force on lesser area. But what this lesser force and lesser area is doing, ఇవంతా ఇందులో కనెక్ట్ అయింది కార్ మొత్తానికి. ఇదేం చేస్తుంది? ఎంటైర్ బిగ్ కార్ ని తీసుకొచ్చి ఆపుతుంది. This is called as hydraulic braking. Lesser pressure is acting on smaller area, creating some arrangement. Through some arrangement, it is been applied onto the bigger body so that it is stopping the bigger thing. Heavy mass ni adi aapagalugutundi. Stopping is called as force we will use. Yes. So by using less force, you are making a larger body. To stop a car, it is highly impossible to stop a car by applying less force from the outside part. బయట నుంచి మనం లెస్ ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేస్తే ఆపగలుగుతాం ఆ కార్ ని, మూవ్ అయ్యే కార్ ని. బట్ ఎంతో స్పీడ్ గా వెళ్తున్నటువంటి హై ఫోర్స్ వెళ్తున్నట్టు కార్ ని ఎలా ఆపుతున్నామమ్మా మనము? హౌ ఆర్ వి స్టాపింగ్ దట్? బై అప్లైయింగ్. దిస్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో కాల్డ్ యాజ్ పాస్కల్స్ లా అప్లికేషన్ ఓన్లీ. కార్ బ్రేక్ పైన లెస్ ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేసి లెస్ ప్రెషర్ తోటి హెవీ ఫోర్స్ ని, మాస్ ఎక్కువ అంటే ఫోర్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉన్నట్టే కదా. కార్ వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు చూస్తే ఎంత స్పీడ్ తెలుస్తుంది. కెన్ వి స్టాప్ దట్ వన్ directly by applying external force in the opposite direction? No, we will get accident, right? Accordingly, this thing, that mechanism of applying braking and stopping a bigger thing is called as hydraulic braking system. The name antamu hydraulic braking system. These two things, hydraulic machine, hydraulic braking system, are making use of what principle? They are making use of Pascal's law application. Ee rendu kuda Pascal's law ni apply chesi develop chesina machines anamata. And lastly, one small thing, like how do we measure pressure at a place? Okanaka location lo pressure ni ela measure chestamu? There are devices built for this. There are devices built for this called as manometer, telse untundi intaku mundu meeku, and barometer. Manometer and barometer are the two devices which are used to measure pressure at a place. Okanaka place lo enta pressure undi ani decide measure cheyalante, these are the devices. What do you mean by device? What do you mean by a device? A device is developed thing of physics. Something, a thermometer is a device, right? Screw gauge is a device. Oka physics principle ni apply chesi oka device ni kanabedutunnamu ante dani dwara మనం ఏదైనా మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు అన్నమాట. సో అలా ప్రెషర్ ని మెజర్ చేసాక యూజ్ చేసే డివైసెస్ పేరు వస్తువులు ఏంటి అంటే మానోమీటర్ అండ్ బారోమీటర్. ఈ రెండింటి యొక్క పేర్లు తెలిసే చాలా. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఈ లాక్డౌన్ లో ఈ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఎవరు అడగరు మిమ్మల్ని. ఒకసారి మీరు బుక్స్ లో PDF లో కూడా ఉంటుంది, టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో కూడా ఒకసారి తీసి చదువుకోండి. అది మీకు అర్థమైపోతుంది ఏ విధంగా మెజర్ చేస్తారు అనేది. ఓకేనా? పేర్లు తెలిస్తే చాలు. నోబడీ విల్ ఆస్క్ ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్ లైక్ డిస్క్రైబ్ దిస్ అని. సో జస్ట్ గో త్రూ దిస్. ఒకవేళ మీకు ఎప్పుడైనా అవసరం ఉంది ఫ్యూచర్ లో అంటే నేను మళ్ళీ టైం ఉన్నప్పుడు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ఇస్ దట్ క్లియర్? సో దిస్ ఇస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ఫ్లూయిడ్ స్టాటిక్స్. ఈ రోజు క్లాస్ లో మనము ఫ్లూయిడ్ స్టాటిక్స్ కంప్లీట్ చేసేసాం. మొత్తం A to Z of fluid statics is completed. Then tomorrow we should talk about Fluid dynamics. We should talk about what? Fluid dynamics. Hopefully the class is fine. I'll just stop recording the class if you have any doubt. I think time is too much delayed today. So we'll have any other discussion later then, because you might get time for next class also. Right then, is that fine, all of you? Shall I conclude now? Waiting for your responses. Clear. Okay, sir. Right. Thank you. Just go through the PDFs given for fine answers, for one more thorough understanding purpose. Right. Catch you tomorrow. Same time, 9:30 tomorrow also. Tomorrow is Friday, 9:30 class. Fine. Is that okay? Right. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Right. Yeah, India match losses. It happens. It's a part of thing. You should accept, Mahesh. No issues. Even we were interested to watch that, but it's lost. We expected that it will lose. I can tell you one thing. Bye, Tabassum. Bye. I'll tell you one thing. When you watch any kind of a match like this on India, watch with negative mind. Feel that India will lose and watch the match. And what happens if it loses? Because you already felt, you already thought that you'll never mind that. If it wins, happiness. Winning is happiness. Losing is also happiness in that case. I do watch like that only. I feel India should win, but I'll never say that it is India. It is going to win. Okay. If tomorrow 9:30 Telugu class, 10:30. Okay. Never expect anything from Virat Kohli. Yeah, that's fine. He's aggressive man, unfit for captain. Okay. All right. 10:30 then tomorrow class, because or 10 o'clock. Manasa says 9:30 Telugu class, so tomorrow we'll fix it at 10 o'clock. 10 or 10:30. After 10 o'clock, anytime. 9. Right. What about reopening? Chudam, let us see. We'll get news about reopening in 2 days. Today or tomorrow we'll get. Fine, Nikita. Manasa. Okay, sir. Right. Thank you all. Take care. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye. Okay, sir. Bye. Thank you, Vinod.